In version 16, the LV1 system got a big update in the scene management. So let's have a deep dive, and if you suffer from ADHD, there's a link up here to the quick version. For the rest of you, let's have a look. So version 16 was a big update. Right now I'm running version 16.5. And one of the biggest updates was the scene management. So let's have a look. Let's go to the scenes and let's start with just creating a new scene. And let's call this, why not just start? So this view looks very familiar to anyone who has worked with the LV1 before. Let's actually just remove all of this, so we start with a blank page. So this view is basically exactly the same as previous versions of the LV1 system. And if you're new to this is the kind of global setting. So if you want to make the same changes to a lot of channels, say fader, movement, and plugin 1 for channels 1 through 5, this is still the easiest way to do it. However, you cannot get very granular on this. If you, on say channel 5, also want to change plugin 2, but not change plugin 2 for channels 1 through 4, well, this whole system breaks. Well, it did until now. So what's new here is, let's actually move all of these, so we start with blank page again. What's new is the filter button. When you press this one, you have the same parameters as you have up here, but applied separately to each channel. So let's go to channel 1. So on channel 1, you can now choose to have, say, the fader and plugin 1. And on, let's go to the snare. On the snare, you want plugin 2 and the mute button. And if you want to combine that with the global settings, you just leave the filter section, and for channel 3, 4, and 5, you can still have the, say, panning. And you can, of course, override the global settings. Say that channel 5, you find out we also need to scope plugin 8. You just go to the filter, hit 5, and press plugin 8, hit OK. And you will now see that channel 5 turned from the bright blue to the darker blue, indicating that, well, the bright blue is the global settings and the darker blue is for individual settings. Now, there are a few things that might be good to know. So let's delete this one and create 2 new ones. So let's call these 1 and 2, just to keep it really simple. So let's go to scene 1 and let's engage the name on, let's go for channel 1 and do the exact same for scene 2. And now we will have the kick in green on scene 1 and then move on to scene 2, and up here you can see what scene we are on. So let's change the name on this one and also change the color and hit save. And if we go back, this will be the green kick on scene 1 and the HHH on scene 2. So the name parameter also changed the color. You can, of course, just change the color if you have the same name on both. So in this case, it will just change color. Another thing that might be good to know, let's remove the name and let's go with the preamp. So the preamp will only affect the actual gain and the phantom power. So if we, for scene 1, have the gain at 0, phantom power, we flip the polarity and we have the trim at 0 as well. Let's save this one, then go to scene 2 and let's gain up, remove the phantom power, remove the polarity flip, and well, let's lower the trim and let's save this one. So if we toggle between the scenes, you can see that the preamp gain and 48 phantom power will change, but the polarity and trim will not change, because the polarity and trim is controlled by the input parameter. So if we switch this one, so now we will only recall the input. Now you can see that the trim and polarity flip will change. If you want to change everything in this section, you will obviously select both preamp and input, and then all of these will change. Another kind of a bit strange thing is this one. If we place the emo EQ on insert slot 8 on the kick, on scene 1 we have a huge top end boost, so let's save this one. Then we go to scene number 2 and we have it go the other way and save this one. Now let's go to the scenes. So this is on plugin slot 8, so let's recall this one in both scenes, and then if we toggle between these ones, nothing happens. But as you see down here, there's filters, EQ and dynamics referring to the emo plugins. So if we switch this one to instead control the EQ, and let's go back, and now toggle between the scenes, still nothing happens. Because for whatever reason, you need both the EQ and the plugin 8 slot 8 in this case, because it's placed on the plugin slot 8. You need both of those in order to actually have this one flip between the different settings. This only applies to the emo series, so the filters, high pass, low pass plugin, the EQ plugin, and the D5 emo plugin. Now on paper, this is pretty straightforward, but when you start working with this, you will find that there are a few pitfalls and you need some programming skills. So let's start working and I will show you a few use cases. Right, so let's remove both of these and let's start with, let's call this song number 1 and take all away, and then we will just copy this and call this song 2. We will then have, you guessed it, song 3. And after song 3 there might be a the artist might just talk to the audience for a bit, no music, just talking, and then let's go for song 4. So right now nothing will happen because we have not selected anything in the scope, so switching between all of these will not make any change. So let's go to song 1, and here is a really basic band. So you have some drums, bass, guitar keys, and some vocals. And over here you have some talkback microphones that will only go to the in-ears for the musicians. And these are the aux sends. All right, so let's store these settings. So for song 1, you will have kind of everything up. Let's store this one. Then we go to song 2. Nothing will change at this point because nothing is selected in scope. So for song 2, we don't need as much snare drum. And the vocals need a big boost in the top end. These are, of course, crazy settings. It's just to show how all of this works. So let's store that one and then go to song 3. So what are we going to do for song 3? Let's actually bring this one back to a more normal setting. And for song 3, let's bring down the kick as well. Store this one. And then we have the talk between songs. So on this one, we could actually, let's go for some monitor settings. So let's remove all of these talkbacks in the vocal or the artist monitor, because then when the artist is talking to the audience, the band can talk to each other without disturbing the artist. So let's say this one, and then we will go to song 4. And what are we going to do here? Let's bring back the drums, but the guitarist needs a break. All right, so let's go through the programming for all of this. So for song 1, this is our kind of starting point, so let's not do anything to the scope here. On song 2, we turn down the fader on the snare, so let's go into the filter and have it recall the fader move on the snare. We also did a crazy vocal thing on plugin number 3. Then on song number 3, we also turned down the fader on the kick, and on the vocal we went back with plugin 3 back to the kind of unity setting. Then on the next one, the talk, we let's see, we had channel we have channel 7, 8, 9, 10, and this we can actually do a global setting, because we will do the exact same thing to all of these channels. And what we did was to turn down the monitor 5 send for all of these channels. And then for, let's see, for the last song, we also turned down the kick fader. And we will obviously bring back on, see, let's leave the filter and go back to the global setting. So we will bring back the monitor 5 sends on the talkback channels again. And we also brought down the, let's go to filter. We also brought down the fader on the guitar for song 4, because the guitarist needs some break. All right, let's go to song 1 and see if this all works. All right, so everything is around unity. The vocal EQ is at its default place. Let's go to song 2, and the snare comes down. The vocal EQ is crazy. Let's go to song 3. The kick comes down and the vocal EQ comes down. Then let's switch to see the monitor view, and next one is the talking, so these sends will go down. Let's see, yes. And then the last one, we brought down the guitar and back the sends on these channels, but I messed up somewhere, and I think I just didn't save. I did not bring back these ones when I saved the song 4. So let's bring those up and hit save. But the guitar thing worked and the kick went back up. Yeah, I guess that's how I programmed it. So it kind of worked, but I messed up a few things. It's very easy to mess this up. And the problem really starts, well, actually right now. Because if we are going back to the first song, so let's jump back to this one, recall. We are still in the song 4 settings, because on song 1 we have not selected anything. So what I typically do is that I let's make a new scene and call this sound check. and let's place this on the top. So this will be the starting point or kind of default scene. What I typically do is let's recall all of the monitor sends, faders, mute, pan, plugin 3. We might have even more plugins. So this is a good starting point when the musicians show up and just kind of play, mess around, and you will then make some changes. So say that the bass player wants less kick tonight, you can bring down the kick, and as long as you don't have any saved kick changes, this will stay down for the rest of the night. This is kind of the starting point for today, and we might actually want some guitars. So let's save this one. And then when we step through the songs, song 1 will not change anything. Song 2, less snare, less kick. Here will the sense go away. And now all of this works. And if you then jump straight back to sound check, you will be back at the default position. But there is another pitfall that is really easy to step into, and it's this one. All right, so we have the song 1, song 2 will bring down the snare, and song 3 will bring down the kick. Say that the band want to change order, so we have song 3 coming before song 2. Now remember, song 3 has less kick and snare. And if we now fire song 3, we will only have less kick, not less snare, because we saved the fader move on the snare to song 2. So if we fire song 2, yeah, now it comes down. But since we switched order, we messed this up. And this is kind of just the way it is. And if you switch order on the scenes, just go through it, make sure that all of the changes will change as you intended. So another pitfall is this. Say you have, let's put these back in order. So we have song 1, 2, 3, 4, just to make things easy. So let's go to song 1, and let's work with say the kick. So the kick is at unity on song 1, then on song 2 it's -5, song 3 -10, song 4 -20. And then let's make sure that the kick fader will be recalled in all of these scenes. Let's see, yes, and scene 4. Yeah. Let's see, song 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Now, for the venue that you arrived to today, you find out you actually need more kick in order to have the sound that you want. So you kind of boost the kick 5 dB, but then when you go to the next scene, it's of course back to where you saved it, not with the extra few dBs that you wanted throughout the set. One way of solving this would be to just increase the gain in the last plugin on this channel. So if you want 5 dB more gain on the kick throughout the whole set, you could of course raise the gain on the plugin, and then this will still be the kind of right moves between songs, but you still have the extra 5 dB gain. What I would do is to have another plugin. So let's just place another F6 on insert 8, like so. And let's remove all of the fader moves on the kick. So, nope, here we go. So now the fader on the kick will not move when we change the scenes. and let's do all of the changes in this plugin instead. So on song 1 we have unity. On song 2 we will have -5, save. Song 3 -10. Song 4 -20. All right, this one only goes down to 18. So yeah, there's that. But it's close enough. Let's go to the kick. Let's save plugin 8 instead of the fader. And the reason I would rather do it like this is because, here we go, and recall, is then I will free up the fader to actually do some mixing, because I mean it's really mixing that we are doing. If we are just firing cues, it's really not mixing. So now this fader is free for me to do whatever I want. I will still have the relative volumes between the songs fired with this EQ. So going to song 2, -5-ish, 3, and 4. So that's how I change volumes on different channels between songs and still have the faders to actually do some mixing. So try it, mess around with it. You will make mistakes. As you saw, I still make mistakes all of the time. And if you are a channel member and you are stuck with something, send the show file to me. I will try to find a solution and get back to you. And yeah, that's it. Take care.